not asking for support, we're just asking for fair competition and level playing field. And there CFAM can help just carbon zoom otherwise.
It's something about the unpredictability. I lost track of how many times tires changed during this year. And of course then for industries, for our customers, to invest without unpredictability, to make choices without knowing how next month or next year will look like is difficult. It's difficult for business to actually grow and evolve in such an environment.
The main key thing here is that in our type of industries, the type of investments you make, they are for long term, they're capital intensive. So if you don't have predictability, like you said, and kind of a stable investment environment, so how do you invest?
Adaptability, resilience is needed for game, and we need to really regionalize our supply chain. We need to focus on regional supply chains to make sure we are resilient as a serve our customers where they are.
The last year, we have seen that customers are focusing more on that full value chain perspective. Customers are following us here to Brazil to understand the business upstream. It's about resilience, it's about robustness, it's also about competitiveness, and it's about sustainability. And I think also policymakers need to combine that for Europe. How do we create robust, competitive, and sustainable value chains?
Look at China. I mean, it's no coincidence, but they are dominating all the technologies that supports the green energy transition. All of them. That's not coincidence, but the active industry policy they've been working with for 15-20 years. Today, we are dominating all the technologies and all the value chains of those technologies, all the way into the mountains. It's not some coincidence. We are late to the parties, but we can still turn this around. But we have to work together.
What would support your ability to build those value chains?
First of all, predictability. So predictability on framework conditions is kind of this. And then there is a need in Europe specifically to build out much more renewable energy. So to ensure that we have the competitiveness in Europe, then we need to work also on how do we create incentives for the market to actually value low carbon metals or minerals, so that we actually have a way to compete. That I think we need now to not spend years to evaluate. We need to fix some of that quite quickly.
If you look at the whole European stainless steel industry, which is very challenged currently, it's not actually for the fact that with the Chinese money in Indonesia in the last 10 years, enormous melt capacity in stainless steel based on nickel pig iron, not scrap, has been developed. And that capacity is twice as big as the whole Asia needs. So then it wants to find its home, of course, in Europe and in US. And when the US put a big tariffs on that, then you know where it comes. That as part of the Commission's metal and steel action plans, one area is creating lead markets. And the whole lead market is about having, for instance, public procurement policies that would support then buying something that has more green steel in it or lower carbon footprint. And I think this is what Europe could do, but we just don't have that yet. So I think that would be extremely important, and hopefully it's possible.
But we also need to understand that when technology change, when the conditions on the market change, we cannot expect our business model to just remain the same. That has been for 125 years now, producing something and sell it in a transactional manner. So now we're working a lot on how we can go to our customers with an offer that is pay per use, pay per kilowatt hour, keeping maybe the material in view much better. This is exciting. This is what we're not trying now, is every part of our joint ventures together with digital freight providers, us leasing the vehicles, keeping them on our balance sheet. And then with that, we can also control the materials, control the batteries, and we can find a much more sustainable way of handling materials.
The other part of innovation is very much together with our customers, raw material suppliers, using less energy, using less raw materials, and then coming with metal alloys or solutions that kind of work better with the hardest conditions of the world.
As we are in COP, what would you like to see as an outcome from here?
The European Industry Commissioner Hanne has commented that, and that's why we're talking about the safeguards and CBAM, is that look, you need to also look at what are the industries that are important for your autonomy, for what future. And if you would think that Europe wouldn't have its own steel industry in the future, it will be relying totally on Asia. What does it mean for your type of industry? What does it mean for defense? What does it mean for infrastructure? Europe really needs an industrial policy on key industries that it needs to keep.
That they can look for all companies. We would like to have the sustainability highway globally. Just everything was going on as the same, but that's not the case. We need price and emissions that is going through everything. We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing here? What will we do next year in Adelaide? The answer is we have to combine the action agenda and the negotiations together, and then we can get this kind of progress.
But I would like to see the recommitment to Paris Agreement, 1.5 degree, and just remembering that climate change hasn't gone anywhere. It's accelerating, and that we need all the key countries at least to contribute. US is not here. So look, China, 30% of the emissions, India plays a big role, Brazil plays a big role. So it's not enough what Europe does. We need everybody to work for the same earth. And therefore I think as difficult it may be in some of the negotiations and taking the steps, I think we can let it go.